Namaste. Please come into an easy cross-legged seated position at the front of your mat. As you sit, check in with your posture. If you notice that your knees are lifted high above the level of your hips, place a folded blanket beneath your pelvis. This will help your hips and back relax so that you can sit upright with ease and experience a sense of openness across the front of your chest. Now, let's make a connection to the breath. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale out completely. Again, inhale deeply, breathe out completely. Repeat this a few more times on your own, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Breath by breath, letting go of your past, letting go of your future, and inviting your whole self to begin relaxing into this moment. Feel the outer shell of your body softening. Release any gripping in your jaw and across the surface of your face. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and soften your belly. See if you can feel your hips blossoming open as your legs relax down upon your mat. Now, if you haven't already, begin to activate Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing. Allow the quiet whispering sound of your breath to soothe your body and mind. Let each inhalation and exhalation be slow, deep, and complete. Using your breath as your guide, begin to take your attention deeper into your body. As you breathe in, feel the breath traveling down into the base of your lungs, expanding your chest and rib cage from the inside out. As you breathe out, feel your chest and ribs releasing back and in. Let your shoulders, neck, and head gently ride on this wave of the breath. See if you can feel how even the arms and hands expand with your inhalation and shrink back inward with your exhalation. Now, take your awareness down deep into the center of your belly. As you breathe in, let your attention rest right behind your navel. Notice how you feel in this moment. Keep breathing nice and deeply. With your next breath in, go a little deeper and feel into the space of your pelvis. See if you can feel how the breath is flowing through this area of your body. Invite your hips to relax with your exhalation and allow your tailbone to release into the floor beneath you. Feel your connection to the earth, grounded and stable. Now, bring your awareness back to your breath and just feel your body being breathed. On your next breath in, take your arms out to the side and stretch them up and overhead towards the sky. As you breathe out, draw your thumbs down through center, resting your hands together right in front of your sternum in Anjali Mudra. Take a moment to silently acknowledge your own intention for your practice today. Take another breath in, letting your intention silently echo through the inner space of your body. When you feel ready, slowly release your hands and allow your eyes to gently come to open. Now let's begin warming up the body. From seated, transition onto your hands and knees and press back into child's pose. Let those hips relax down towards the heels. Release through the shoulders and the back of the neck. And if you'd like, you can let your head just rock a little bit from side to side to encourage your whole spine to let go a little bit. remaining connected to the breath, continuing to breathe in and out deeply and completely. We're going to move into an exercise called spinal push. I'd like you to let your hands slide back right alongside the ears, pressing the palms down into the mat and drawing the elbows inward. From here, as you breathe in, you're going to lift from your tailbone and lever forward through the spine, rolling up onto the crown of the head. Once you arrive here, just pause and draw your navel up and in towards the spine. Feel that the elbows are stacked right above the wrist. Spread your fingers, press down into the mat, and lift your shoulders away from your ears. Breathe in, feeling your spine rounding. Pressing down through the head as you exhale, roll back all the way into child's pose, letting those hips release towards the heels. We'll repeat this 2 more times with the breath, inhaling to roll forward onto the crown of the head, and exhaling, pushing off the head, just slowly rolling back, hips to the heels. Last time, breathe in through the nose, roll forward, and breathing out through the nose, pushing off the head and rolling back. And then go ahead and let your arms stretch back up in front. Take one nice deep breath in and out. On your next inhalation, shifting forward into tabletop pose. And from here, tuck the toes, walk your hands back, coming up into an easy little squat. And then just let your torso rest over your thighs, let your head hang nice and heavy. The heels don't have to be in contact with the floor here. You can just let the calf muscles stretch. Take a breath in, lift your chest, looking forward. And as you breathe out, lift your hips towards the sky, straightening your legs into an easy forward fold position. Let your head shake out a little bit. And you can let your spine sway from side to side. If the back of your legs feel really tight, go ahead and bend your knees as deeply as you need to. On your next breath in, we'll come into what's called halfway lift. Lengthen your spine, gaze forward, and then as you breathe out, soften your back and fold back in. One more time, take a breath in, lift your chest, looking forward. And this time, as you breathe out, walk your hands forward, coming into downward facing dog pose. And let's go ahead and warm up our down dog. You can let your knees bend and straighten, alternately pressing one heel towards the floor as you bend the opposite knee, and going back and forth a few times. Let your tail wag a little bit as well, so your hips are swaying. You'll feel your weight shifting between the two hands. We want the whole body to really begin warming up in this position, opening up the back of those legs. Find your breath. Breathe in nice and deeply. And then looking forward, and just begin to walk your feet up towards the front of your mat. Coming back into an easy forward fold, just letting the head hang. Softening the knees, and with your next breath in, rolling up into standing. Let your chin be the last thing that lifts. At the top, shrug your shoulders up, back, and down. Coming into your first mountain pose, Tadasana. If you need to, adjust your feet slightly and just begin to feel your weight being balanced between the left and the right. Standing tall and bringing the palms of the hands together at the front of the chest in Anjali Mudra. Breathe. Now we'll move into a nice slow sun salutation to continue warming up the body. From Tadasana pose, taking a nice deep breath. As you breathe out, press down firm into your feet, releasing the hands. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. Exhale, take the hands behind the back. Interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together, straightening your arms and opening up the front of your chest. Gaze up and take a deep breath in. As you exhale, tip forward from your hips and release your neck and head. Lifting your shoulders away from the ears and pressing the pinky fingers down towards the floor behind your head. Breathe in, halfway lift, and exhale, release your hands. Inhaling, open your chest, looking forward. Exhale, step your left foot way back into a nice deep lunge. Tap your left knee down, lift your chest and breathe in. Holding here, letting those hips begin to open. On your next breath out, stepping all the way back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog pose, finding your breath again. And from here, moving into plank position, upward push-up. Make sure your shoulders stack right over your wrist. Spread your fingers wide. And place a special gem, an imaginary gem in your navel, lifting it up and in. As you exhale, shift slightly forward as you lower all the way down to your belly. Point your toes back. Take a breath in, coming into Cobra, Bhujangasana. Roll your shoulders back. Draw your elbows in, opening up the front of your chest. As you exhale, release your forehead down to the floor and slide your hands back a couple inches, placing the wrists right underneath your elbows. Take another breath into Cobra. And from here, if you'd like, you can move deeper into full upward facing dog. Arms grow straight, lifting the knees, engaging the thighs. Press down through the tops of the feet, lift your gaze, and exhale, draw back with those hips into downward facing dog again. Breathing in, lift your right leg, taking it way up and back. Bend your knee if you'd like, pressing the heel towards the buttock muscles, stretching through the thigh. Inhale, lift the leg straight, and exhale, place the foot back to the floor. Side two, lifting that left leg, inhaling, bending the knee as you breathe out. And on your next breath in, stretch the legs straight once again. And this time as you exhale, lunge that left foot all the way up between your hands. Tap your right knee down into the mat, lean into your hips a little bit, and take a deep breath in, opening your chest and letting your hips relax. Exhale, lift your knee, step all the way to the front of the mat, lengthening your spine, and exhale, folding in and down. Soften your knees a little bit, keep your head heavy, and round your back, rolling all the way up to standing. Take your arms and reach the fingers towards the sky. As you exhale, bring the thumbs down through center. Interlace your fingers and stretch your palms forward and up towards the sky. Draw your navel up and in. And to intensify this pose, lift your heels up and towards the calves. Let all the muscles of your body fire up for this pose, keeping your gaze focused on one point to support you in balancing on the balls of your feet. As you breathe out, drop your heels, release your arms, and bring your hands back to the front of your chest in Anjali Mudra. Breathing here, standing tall in mountain pose. Now let's move into full Surya Namaskar A or Sun Salutation A. On your next breath out, release your hands down alongside your body. Inhaling, sweeping the arms overhead, gazing up as the palms touch. Exhale, dive over the thighs, forward fold. Breathing in, halfway lift, looking forward. Exhaling, walk, step, or hop your feet back, finding plank pose. Holding here, taking a breath and getting strong through the front of the body. Exhale, lowering down, chaturanga. Breathing in, upward facing dog, opening up the chest. Breathing out, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, bending the knees, looking forward, walking, stepping, or hopping to the front of your mat, lifting your chest, breathing out, forward fold. Breathing in, lifting your chest again, reaching out with those arms and rising up, gazing towards the hands touching. And exhaling, sweeping the arms down alongside the body, hands to heart center. Inhaling, arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, dive over the thighs, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, taking the feet back, lowering down, chaturanga. Breathing in, upward facing dog, lifting your gaze. Breathing out, downward facing dog. Inhaling the breath. Exhaling, preparing. And on your next breath in, walking, stepping, or hopping to the front of your mat. Lift your chest and extend your spine. Exhale, forehead towards the shin bones. Inhale, sweep those arms overhead, rising up. Exhale, arms sweep down, hands to heart center. One more time, breathing in, big sweep of the arms overhead. Exhale, dive over the thighs, forward fold. Breathing in, halfway lift. And breathing out, chaturanga, lowering down. Inhaling, press the tops of the feet as you open the chest, gazing up. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And breathing. As you exhale, you can let your knees bend a little bit, gazing forward. Inhale, walk, step, or hop to the front of your mat. Lift your chest, gaze forward. Exhale, nice deep fold, stretching through the back of the body. Breathing in, rising up, press through those feet, lift your thighs, lift your arms. And exhaling, back to mountain pose, Tadasana, hands at the heart center, and breathing. Now we'll move into some variations of Surya Namaskara B or Sun Salutation B. On your next breath in, bend your knees nice and deeply, sweep your arms up and overhead, chair pose. Exhale, dive over the thighs, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, looking forward. Exhale, taking the feet back, lowering down, chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing dog. And breathing out into downward facing dog pose. On your next breath in, lift your right leg up as high as possible. And as you exhale, lunge your right foot forward between your hands. Drop your back heel, inhaling into warrior one pose. Possibly touching the palms at the top and gazing up. Exhale, sweep the hands down, stepping back into plank and lowering down, chaturanga. Breathing in, upward facing dog. Breathing out, downward facing dog. Inhaling, lifting the left leg up way high, and exhaling, lunging that foot forward, dropping the back heel, breathing in, warrior one. Breathing out, hands sweep down to the mat, exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Holding here, take a couple breaths. If at any point you need to take a break, feel free to drop your knees to the mat and rest back into child's pose. Take one more nice deep breath here. And as you exhale, bending the knees, gazing forward. And with your next breath in, walking, stepping, or hopping your feet to the front of the mat. Lifting your spine and extending. Exhaling, folding forward, Uttanasana. Bending your knees nice and deeply. Inhaling, coming back up into chair pose, Utkatasana. And as you breathe out, dive right back over your thighs, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, opening up your heart. Exhaling, walking, stepping, or jumping your feet back and lowering through chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing dog. Breathing out, downward facing dog. And lifting your right leg up and back with your breath in. Exhale, lunging that foot forward, warrior one pose, rising up with the breath. And this time opening up into warrior two as you exhale, taking those arms out in line with your shoulders. Inhaling, windmill the arms all the way down and step back into plank pose. Breathing out through chaturanga, breathing in, upward facing, and breathing out back to downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg with your breath in, opening up that hip, exhaling, lunging forward. Breathing into warrior one pose, gazing up. Breathing out, warrior two. Arms out in line with the shoulders. Inhaling, stepping back, plank position. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, open up your chest. Upward facing dog. Exhaling, pull back with your hips, downward facing dog pose. Take a couple breaths. Expanding with your inhalation. Exhaling, preparing. And inhaling, bringing the feet forward, lengthening the spine. Exhale, deep fold. Bending your knees, inhaling, chair pose, rising up. Gazing up. And exhaling, dive over those thighs, back to forward fold. Breathing in, halfway lift. Exhaling, chaturanga, lowering down. Inhaling, up dog. And exhaling all the way back, downward facing dog. Breathing in, again lifting your right leg up and back. Exhaling, lunging forward, back to warrior one, breathing in. Opening to warrior two, exhaling. Turn your right palm up. Breathe in to illuminate your warrior, stretching through that right side body. Exhale, taking the hands down, stepping back through plank and lowering down chaturanga. Breathing in, upward facing. Spread your fingers and all the way back, downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg with your breath in. Exhale, lunging it forward. Drop your back heel, reach through those arms into warrior one, gazing up. Exhale, warrior two. Turning that left palm up, inhale, illuminate your warrior. And exhaling, arms sweep down, stepping back, finding plank. Breathing out all the way through chaturanga. Breathing in, upward facing dog, keep your neck nice and long. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Again, just a couple breaths. And preparing with your exhalation, the knees bend as you gaze forward. Walk, step, or hop to the front of your mat as you inhale, lifting through the chest. And exhale, deep fold, forehead towards those shin bones. Bend your knees deeply. Sink into your heels. Inhale, reach up with your arms, chair pose. And exhaling, coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Hands come to the heart center. Stand tall and breathe. Now let's move into some longer holding standing postures. As you breathe out, go ahead and release your hands alongside the body. And on your inhalation, bending your knees, sitting back into chair pose, Utkatasana. Hold here for a moment. Feel the weight dropping down through the heels. And lift your lower belly up and in. On your next breath out, we'll dive over those thighs into forward fold, Uttanasana. Breathing in, halfway lift, looking forward. And exhaling, walk, step, or hop your feet back. Lower through chaturanga. Breathe into upward facing dog. Breathing out to downward facing dog. Lift the right leg for one breath, reaching it way up nice and high. And as you exhale, lunge that right foot forward between your hands. Dropping your back heel, we'll breathe in, rising up into warrior two pose, Virabhadrasana 2, and we'll hold here for about 5 breaths. Make sure your front knee is lined up directly over your ankle, pressing slightly towards the pinky side of your foot. Arms right in line with the shoulders. Feel your lower belly lifting up and in. on your next breath in, straighten your right leg. And as you exhale, coming into triangle pose, Trikonasana. If it's comfortable for you, take your gaze towards your lifted thumb. Holding here, letting your legs become nice and strong. Connecting to your breath, breathing in and out deeply and completely. Take one more breath, holding strong in triangle pose, and as you breathe out, release your left hand down to the mat. Come into a lunge position. I'm going to move into a balancing pose called Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Option 1 is to keep both hands on the floor and just lift your left leg up as high as possible. Option 2, keep your eyes steady on a point that's not moving and take your left hand to your hip. Option 3, lift your left arm straight up towards the ceiling and gaze up towards your lifted thumb. Now, if you want to intensify this pose, try bending your left knee, reach back with your left hand and grab your ankle. Kick your foot away from the body. Open up and expand the front of your chest. If you've got your foot, go ahead and release it. Take that left hand back down to the floor. And slowly bending into your right knee, lunge way back. Place your left knee down upon the mat. Press through the shin bone and the top of the ankle. You can keep your hands down on the floor, or if you feel ready, lift your arms as you breathe in, taking them up and overhead. Clasp your hands, reach out through your index fingers, and draw back with those arms to open your chest. You can continue to lean forward into those hips a little bit. Exhaling, release your hands down. Tuck your back toes, step all the way into plank position. As you exhale, lower through chaturanga, breathing into upward facing and breathing out back to downward facing dog. Take a breath. And let's move into side 2. Lift your left leg, take a breath in. And again, exhale, lunge forward. Drop your back heel and rise up into Warrior 2 pose. Notice that your front heel is lined up directly with the arch of your back foot. Front knee right over that ankle and arms in line with the shoulders again. Feel your core becoming active as you draw your lower belly up and in. Fix your gaze on one point out in front of you and breathe. On your next breath in, straighten your left leg. As you exhale, reach forward, bending from that left hip, coming into Trikonasana, triangle pose. See if you can rotate from your sternum and gaze up towards your lifted hand. Feel that your neck is long as your shoulders release down your back. Breathing here, in through the nose, out through the nose. And on your next exhalation, releasing from triangle pose, sweep that right arm down and come into a lunge position, preparing for our balancing pose, half moon. Remember, you can keep both hands on the floor and just lift your right leg up as high as possible. If you feel steady, take your right hand to your right hip. And for more of a challenge, extend your right arm straight up towards the ceiling and try to gaze towards your lifted thumb. To intensify this pose, bend your right knee, reach back with your right hand and grab your ankle. Half moon, half bow pose. And release your foot if you have it. Take a breath in. As you exhale, bringing the right hand down to the mat, bending that left knee, slowly lunging back, and dropping your right knee, shin bone, top of the foot presses down into the mat. Lean into those hips a little bit. Either keep your hands on the floor or breathe in, lift your arms overhead. Clasp your hands, reach up through the index fingers, and begin to arc back, opening up your chest. Press firm into that left heel. Take one more deep breath in. Release those hands with your exhalation. Step back. Let's lower through chaturanga, breathing out. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Nice work. Let's take a breath here. exhale out completely. Breathing in, walking, stepping, or jumping to the front of your mat. Lift and extend your spine. Exhale, folding in and down. Bending your knees again. Breathe in, reach your arms out to the side and overhead, chair position. And exhale, sweeping those arms down. Bringing the hands together at the front of the chest, standing tall in mountain pose. And breathing. Let's move into another standing sequence with some twists. On your next breath in, bend your knees, sitting back into chair pose. As you breathe out, bring your thumbs down through center, and we're going to twist to the right. See if you can wedge your left elbow to the outside of that right thigh. Press your right palm into your left palm, and lift your heart towards your thumbs, gazing up past your right shoulder. Keep sitting way down deep with those hips, resting weight down into the heels. On your next breath in, lift your arms, come back up through center, and as you exhale, pulling the thumbs in and twisting to the left. Wedge your right elbow to the outside of that left thigh. Left palm presses into the right palm. Front of the chest is opening and twisting towards the sky. Gaze up past your left shoulder. Breathe in nice and deeply. Lift those arms, sweep them back up into full chair, and exhale, we'll dive over the thighs, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, taking the feet back and lowering down, Chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing dog and breathing out, downward facing dog pose. On your next breath in, lift your right leg way up and back. And as you exhale, lunging that right foot forward between the hands, drop your back heel, rising up into warrior one pose. And we'll hold here for about 5 breaths. You can have your hands shoulder width apart, or possibly touching the palms and gazing up towards your lifted thumbs. Take a deep bend into that front knee so that the shin bone is straight up and down. Keep your back leg strong. Lifting up from that lower belly, take one more breath. And as you exhale, release your hands down to the mat. Lift your back heel. So you're in a lunge position, and then press into your left hand and lift your right arm up towards the ceiling into a twisting lunge. This is your first option. If you want to move deeper, see if you can take your left elbow and wedge it to the outside of your right thigh, pressing your palms together into prayer twist. Again, gazing up, if possible, past that right shoulder. Your last option, for those of you that want to work a little deeper, see if you can straighten your left arm alongside the right shin bone, and then reach up and out with that right arm, creating a diagonal line from the spine out through the fingertips. On your next breath out, release the arm, and we're going to move into a balancing twist. So walk your fingertips forward. This is your first option. Keep both hands on the floor and reach straight back through your left heel. From here, keep your eyes focused on one point and take your right hand to your hip. If you feel steady, see if you can lift your right arm and begin to twist the upper body, possibly gazing up towards your lifted hand. Parivrtta Ardhachandrasana, twisting half moon. Now, for anyone who wants to make this pose a little bit more intense, soften your right knee and then bend your left knee and see if you can reach back with your right hand and grab your left ankle or foot. Kick the foot into the hand, open up and arch your back. If you've got your foot, go ahead and exhale, release, take both hands to the floor, bend your right knee and lunge slowly back. Breathe in, find plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Breathing into upward facing dog and breathing out to downward facing dog pose. Take a breath. And we'll take that sequence on side 2, lifting your left leg way up with your breath in, and exhale, lunging that left foot forward between the hands. Warrior One pose. Drop your back heel, reach your arms out to the side and overhead. And if you're comfortable here, gaze up, looking towards your thumbs. See if you can activate your core. You're gonna slide your left hip slightly back and slide your right hip slightly forward. And then draw up from the deep base of your belly, lifting and opening your heart center. Take a nice full breath in. And as you exhale, take the hands to the mat. Lift your right heel, preparing for twisting lunge. You're going to send that left arm up towards the sky. This is your first option. And to intensify the pose, you can wedge your right elbow to the outside of your left thigh. Press the left palm into the right. Twist your sternum towards your thumbs, gazing up. And your last option, you're ready to take it a little deeper. Try straightening your right arm. Fingertips come to the mat. Lift your left arm straight up and then turn the palm and reach the hand forward, creating a nice long line from the left hip through the left fingers. As you exhale, bring both hands back to the mat and moving into our twisting balance. So walk your fingers forward. They're going to be about 8 inches in front of the toes. Find a focal point to gaze towards. Steady yourself here, and you can stay here with both hands on the floor. If you're balanced, take your left hand to your left hip. Reach straight back through that right heel, keeping the hips in line. And then beginning to twist the upper body. Reach the left arm up towards the sky and possibly gaze up towards that lifted thumb. Now again, to intensify this pose, try bending your knees, reach back with your left hand, grab your right ankle, and then see if you can kick your right foot into your hand and create a nice back bend through your torso. Take a breath in. If you've got your foot, go ahead and release the foot. Taking that left hand to the floor, slowly bend your left knee, lunge back. Breathe in, find your plank pose. Breathe out, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing, and exhaling back to downward facing dog. Breathe here. And exhaling out completely. On your next breath in, you can walk, step, or hop, bringing your feet all the way forward to the front of your mat. Lengthening your spine, looking forward, and as you exhale, soften and fold in. Bend your knees, breathe in, come back up into chair pose, Utkatasana, and exhale, sweeping those arms down, finding mountain pose, hands at the heart center. Breathing in and breathing out. Now let's transition down onto the floor to work into a few back bends. From mountain pose, Tadasana, take a nice deep breath in. Stretch those arms up and overhead. As you exhale, dive over the thighs into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhaling, halfway lift, looking forward. As you exhale, bend your knees, coming down into a little squat, and then just work your way back, rolling down all the way onto your back. Walk your feet in so that your heels are close to your pelvis. You want your ankles right below the knees. And take your arms down alongside the torso. You can press the palms down. We're going to begin with bridge pose. Take a nice full breath in. And as you exhale, push firm into the feet, lifting your tailbone and spine up off the mat. After you've lifted as high as possible, begin to walk your shoulders together and see if you can interlace your hands. And press down firm through those arms. Notice if your toes have turned out, and if they have, see if you can bring the inside edges of your feet to be parallel with one another. Draw your shoulders away from the ears. Relax your jaw and your throat. On your next breath out, roll down through your spine from the top to the bottom. and relax here for a moment. We're going to be taking 2 more back bends, and you can repeat bridge pose, which we just did, or begin to build onto that one, working towards full wheel pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana. So those of you that want to work a little bit deeper, take your hands down alongside your ears. Draw your elbows inward towards one another. Keep your heels close in towards your pelvis. Breathe in nice and deeply. And again, as you exhale, push into the feet, lift your hips and spine up off the floor. You might choose to just stay here, press into the hands and draw your elbows in and breathe. And if you're able to, press firm into the hands and see if you can lift up and then place the top of the head down onto the mat. Again, adjust here, drawing the elbows in and then pressing firm into the hands and the feet and lift all the way up into full wheel if you've got it in you. Take a couple deep breaths wherever you're working in the pose. You're up in your full wheel pose. Check in with your feet once again and turn those toes in slightly. Release the buttock muscles enough so that you can draw your inner thighs towards one another. On your next breath out, everybody lowering all the way back down. Taking a little pause and breathing. And we'll take one last back bend. So again, you can stick with bridge pose, or you can take your hands down alongside the ears and begin to work towards your full wheel back bend. When you're ready, breathe in nice and deeply, and as you exhale, press into the feet. Lift your hips, lift your spine, possibly pressing into the hands, lifting up onto the head, or all the way up into Urdhva Dhanurasana, working towards straight arms. Breathe nice and deeply wherever you're at in the pose. Working down firm into those feet and firm into the hands. On your next breath out, tuck your chin if you're in full wheel pose, lower the back of the head to the mat, and release the spine down. Draw the knees gently in towards the chest and massage out your low back. Taking a couple deep breaths here. And then grab on with your hands right behind the thighs and take a couple rocks and rolls forward and back to further massage out your back. And roll yourself all the way forward. See if you can come back up into your squat. And then as you exhale, straighten out your legs and fold forward, stretching along the backside of your body. Bend your knees. Keep your neck and head heavy and roll yourself all the way up through your spine. At the top, you can let your arms stretch out to the side, reaching them up and overhead. Breathing out, bringing the thumbs down through center, and arriving back in your mountain pose Tadasana and breathing here. This next sequence will be working towards full headstand. If you need the wall as a prop, go ahead and move your mat now. From mountain pose, on your next breath in, take the arms up and overhead, gazing up towards those palms, touching. Exhale, dive over the thighs, forward fold. Breathing in, halfway lift. Exhaling, taking the feet back into plank pose and lowering down chaturanga. Breathe in, upward facing dog. Breathing out, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog pose, go ahead and drop your knees to the mat and release back and down into child's pose. And take a breath here. We're going to begin our headstand cycle with spinal push, something that we did in our beginning warm-up. So slide your hands back alongside the ears. And when you feel ready, you're going to breathe in, lift your tailbone, and roll up onto the crown of the head. Make sure your elbows are lined up right over your wrist. Spread your fingers wide. Draw your navel up and in, and lift your shoulders away from the ears. This is your first option for building into headstand. This option allows you to have a gentle inversion with the head beneath the level of the heart without actually taking any weight down into the neck. From here, as you breathe out, go ahead and release back into your child's pose. And the next option we'll be exploring is dolphin pose. This is another great option that allows you to build strength through the shoulder girdle without taking weight through the neck. So cross your forearms, grab your upper arm bones with your hands to line up your elbows right underneath your shoulders, and then interlace your fingers. Slide your pinky finger into the palm, the bottom pinky finger, to keep it from getting smushed. And then tuck your toes and lift your hips, drawing them up and back. Let your neck release. Your head should just be able to hang in this position. And then press through your forearms and reach your chest back towards your thighs. You can keep your knees bent in this position. You can also have your feet separated wide. If you have open shoulders, you'll be able to walk your toes in a little closer towards your elbows. Another breath here, breathing in, trying to lift your shoulders up away from your ears. And then as you exhale, go ahead and release. Take the hips back down to the heels, resting into child's pose. So feel free to choose option 1, spinal push, or option 2, dolphin pose. Or you can move into full headstand. Interlacing your fingers, walking the elbows in so they're right underneath your shoulders, placing the top of the head to the mat. And as you breathe in, lifting the legs up towards the sky. If you're working in full headstand, make sure you're continuing to lift your shoulders away from your ears. Draw the tops of the thighs inward towards one another and reach out through the soles of your feet. Breathe nice and deeply here. See if you can actually let your face relax, as well as your knuckles. If you're working in option 1 or option 2, feel free to come in and out as you need to. Those of you in full headstand, on your next breath out, lower your legs back down to the mat. And slowly, everyone releasing back into child's pose. Take a couple breaths. If you'd like, you can let your head rock a little bit from side to side, releasing any compression you might be feeling through the neck. Next inhalation, rise back up onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes, pressing back into downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, let's move through a vinyasa, coming forward into plank, exhaling chaturanga, inhaling upward facing, and exhaling all the way back to downward facing dog. On your next breath in, walk, step, or hop the feet forward, lengthening your spine, and breathe out into forward fold, Uttanasana. Keep your head heavy, soften your knees, and as you breathe in, roll up through your spine. At the top, lifting your chin and lifting your arms, gazing up. And exhale, sweeping those arms down and bringing the hands back to heart center. And breathing as you stand tall in Tadasana pose. All right, from here, let's move into some deep hip opening poses. On your next breath in, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhaling, diving over the thighs, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, taking the feet back, lowering down through chaturanga, breathing into up dog and breathing out through downward facing dog. From down dog, go ahead and drop your knees to the mat, and you can just cross your ankles and then roll back over those feet, coming into a seated position. Let's start with Dandasana staff pose. So extend your legs straight out, Let your hands rest alongside your hips. Roll the shoulders back and down, lifting your chest, dropping your chin slightly, and lifting up from the lowest part of your belly. Close your eyes or just gaze off the tip of your nose and breathe. And from here, let's slide the feet back a few inches, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. When you look down, you should see that the legs are creating a diamond shape. Take a breath in and lift your chest up nice and tall. As you breathe out, tip forward from your hips. Reach down as far as you're comfortable, and then let your upper back round. You're going to let your head hang here and let the neck become relaxed. Take several deep breaths in this pose, releasing through the outer hip muscles as well as the deep spinal muscles. Each time you breathe in, feel the back of your body opening up and expanding. And as you breathe out, see if you can let go just a little bit more. On your next breath in, slowly roll back up through the spine, lifting your chin at the end. And then pull your heels even further back, bringing the feet close to the inner hips, soles of the feet still touching. Press up on your fingertips and expand the front of your chest, looking up and breathing in. Some of you might stay here. If you can move deeper into the pose, push off your fingertips and start to tip forward from your hips. And then taking the hands forward, either onto the mat or you can grab onto your feet, continuing to fold forward from those hips into full Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. Again, take several deep breaths here, working into your inner hips this time. Each time you breathe out, see if you can consciously let go of where you're still holding on. And on your next breath in, rising back up, lifting those knees, and from here moving into a pose called double pigeon. So you're going to slide your left ankle underneath, lifting your right ankle and attempting to place it right over the left knee. Ideally, both shin bones are stacked one over the other. If you feel any pressure in your knees, choose to just cross your ankles instead. From your upright seated position, if you feel like you can go a little deeper, with your exhalation, start to walk those hands forward. Wherever you're working in the pose, let yourself breathe deeply right down into the space of your hips. Each time you breathe out, feel yourself letting go of any tension or any stress that you might be holding on to. On your next breath in, walk those hands back if you folded forward. And let's switch sides. So again, you can either cross your ankles or scoop up your left ankle and place it above your right knee. See if you can stack your shin bones. Flex both feet a little bit by drawing the toes back towards the knees. Sit up tall, take a breath in, and if you feel like you can move a little deeper, begin to tip forward from your hips. You can rest your elbows on your foreleg, or take your hands out to the floor in front of you and fold in and down a little bit deeper. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. Your last exhalation, letting go just a little bit more. And then walking those hands back if you folded forward, lifting your chest up nice and tall. And exhaling, letting the legs release. Go ahead and cross your ankles and then just rock forward and come into tabletop position. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, and press back into downward facing dog pose. From down dog, come through plank position, lowering down chaturanga, breathing into upward facing dog, and breathing back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, on your next breath in, walk, step, or hop your feet to the front of your mat, lengthening your spine. And as you exhale, bend both knees, coming down into a little squat, and then rock back, coming into a seated position, roll down through your spine. Once again, coming onto your back and drawing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a little hug here, circling out the knees from side to side. Now we're going to move into shoulder stand cycle. Your first option is to simply lift your legs straight up towards the ceiling. See if you can align your ankles right over the knees, knees right over the hips. Your tailbone should be relaxing down into the floor. If this is difficult for you, you can bend the knees just a little bit to release the back of the legs. You can hold here and breathe. And if you are interested in working deeper, you're going to press down through the arms, press down through the hands, and then pike the legs back. If possible, you're going to take your toes all the way to the mat. And then from there, you can walk your shoulders together and bring the hands to the low back. Now, if your feet don't touch the floor behind you, just take your hands to your back quickly to catch yourself halfway up. And then from here, you're going to lift your legs up towards the sky into full Sarvangasana shoulder stand. The closer in your elbows are together, the easier this pose is going to be for you. See if you can lift the chin slightly as you press down through the back of the head, opening up the front of the throat. Feel your upper inner thighs hugging in towards one another as you reach out through the soles of your feet. See if you can feel your inner hips hugging towards one another as well. Breathe nice and deeply. Your eyes can be open, gazing off towards those legs, or closing your eyes. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. On your next breath out, we're going to come into plow pose, halasana. So if your toes don't reach the mat, keep your hands on your low back and bend the knees a little bit if you need to. If your toes come to the floor, stretch your arms out straight, interlace your fingers, and press down firm through the back of the arms. Feel the fronts of your hips lifting and drawing up towards the sky. And again, relax your jaw and your throat. On your next breath out, we're going to roll out of plow nice and slowly. Use your abdominal muscles. And once your spine is in contact with the mat, keep the legs lifted straight up towards the ceiling. Press your palms down alongside your hips. And then as if your legs are one tail, you're going to reach the toes long and slowly lower the legs down to the mat using those abdominal muscles. From here, moving into fish pose. You're going to curl your chin towards your chest, rise all the way up so that you can be up on your elbows. Roll the shoulders back, open your chest, and then slowly release your head back and down. You want to lightly be resting on the top of your head, but most of the weight is being carried by those elbows. Zip the legs together, point the toes, and breathe in nice and deeply through the front of your chest. Feeling the front of the throat opening wide. One more nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly slide out onto your back. And draw the knees up and in towards the chest. Again, hug your thighs to the belly and rock a little bit from side to side, massaging out the low back. From here, we're going to wind things down and finish up with one last twist. Take your arms out in line with your shoulders. Palms can turn down. Keeping your knees in close to the chest, take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, letting your knees fall over towards the left. And then let your legs completely relax as best you can. And turn your gaze to look out towards your right hand. Let's take a couple deep breaths here, breathing down into the deep space of your belly. And as you breathe out, see if you can relax your lower spine and release your hips. Good. Take one more full breath out, exhaling completely. Next breath in, we'll begin to lift those knees, bringing them back up towards center. Using those belly muscles a little bit to lift the legs. And once you're back onto your back, take another inhalation. And as you breathe out, let your legs fall nice and heavy over towards the right. And again, roll your gaze towards that left hand and take a few deep breaths. Breathing in, letting the belly open up and expand. Breathing out, letting your spine adjust if necessary. Completely relaxing all of those muscles along the length of your back. Pressing down through the shoulders and relaxing your legs. Your next breath in, lift the legs back up to center. And once again, just grab onto those shin bones and circle the knees. From here, we're going to be moving into our final posture, Shavasana, or final relaxation. As you begin to get comfortable on your back, let your legs stretch out nice and long, and allow your arms to stretch out nice and long. You want to take up a little bit of space for this final pose and really let your body spread out. Gently tuck your chin, lengthening the back of the neck, and let your palms roll up towards the sky. Additionally, let your ankles fall away from one another. Take in a nice deep breath and feel your whole body sighing out as you exhale. Repeat this a few more times, breathing in nice and deeply, whole body exhaling out. Now bring your attention to the surface of your face. Let go of any tension surrounding your eyes. Feel the space between your eyes widening as the forehead softens. Relax down the bridge of your nose and notice the sensation of the breath flowing in and flowing out. Release any holding in your jaw and soften the inside of your mouth. Feel your whole head heavy and relaxed. Take your attention down into your neck. Let go through the throat, sides of the neck, and back of the neck. Feel down into both shoulders, and as you breathe out, let your shoulders drop down nice and heavily upon your mat. Feel both arms and hands releasing any tension. Bring your awareness from the hands back inward towards your heart center. Let your rib cage relax. Soften your chest and feel any tension within your heart and lungs melting away. Feel down into the deep space of your belly and notice the gentle flow of the breath traveling through this space of your body. As you exhale, let your whole belly soften. And from here, move your awareness down deeper into the space of your pelvis and hips. Let go through these areas and begin to feel the heaviness of your legs resting upon your mat. Relax all the way down into your knees, ankles, and feet. Feel your whole body completely relaxed. Feel your mind at ease. Now begin to bring your awareness back to your breath. As you breathe in and as you breathe out, feel how the breath is gently expanding your body and relaxing your body. Next time you breathe in, imagine the breath traveling down to the tips of your fingers and begin to gently stretch them. On your next breath in, imagine the breath flowing all the way down to the tips of your toes and begin to wiggle them. Slowly, breath by breath, allow your body to work into a full stretch, reaching the arms overhead, stretching the legs and the toes nice and long, almost as if your whole body is yawning. When you feel ready, you can roll off onto your right side, coming into fetal position. Rest here for a moment and let yourself take an additional breath. Eventually, working your way all the way back up into an easy cross-legged seated position. Rest your hands in your lap or over your knees. Allow your eyes to close. Sit quietly and breathe. Now take your attention down into your chest and connect to your heart center. Visualize a flame burning brightly in this area of your body. Allow each breath in to fuel this inner flame, allowing it to grow brighter and brighter. See if you can visualize your whole body being filled with this purifying and radiant light. Letting the light travel up into the head, down into the arms, and down into those legs and feet. And from here, when you're ready, those arms can come out alongside your body. And as you breathe in, you're going to let your arms stretch out to the side and up and overhead, reaching through the tips of your fingers. As you breathe out, draw your hands down through center, resting the thumbs right in front of your sternum, honoring yourself, honoring your practice, and honoring the light within. Namaste.